Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, Bashim Rakak Wadash. My name is Yakalba from Plaintables Camp in Philly. Now, it's Russia's hypersonic missile. This is the plane that carries it. I'm sure they have different delivery, I guess, devices. This is one of the, this Russian jet. It was called the KH-47M2 Kenshall, or it means the dagger. It's a Russian nuclear-capable hypersonic aeroballistic air-to-surface missile. All right, that's the actual nuclear missile. But the plane that carries it is the MiG-31K supersonic interceptor aircraft. All right, so that's just one way they can deliver the missile to a certain area. I'm sure they have other ways, like the traditional missile silo, submarine launch systems. All right, let's go back to the Popular Mechanics article. This Popular Mechanics website. Just read a few things from here. It says, oh, they said it right there. Russian Air Force, the MiG-31B took to the skies bearing a 26-foot white rocket giant against a 26-foot white rocket against its belly, bound for an ammunition depot in western Ukraine. This type of rocket, dubbed the KH-47M2 Kenshall dagger. It means a dagger, right? Because in the Bible, when missiles are mentioned, they're mentioned as like swords, flying swords, arrows. All right. See, the Christians, these other groups, they're not going to tell you about these similarities in the wordings. And this is how we know. The dagger, that's referring to a missile, all right, or rocket that will be launched as modern warfare. This is the modern warfare. The daggers, the swords, the modern technology is missiles and rockets. All right, bombs. Those are daggers. Those are the swords. Those are the modern names for the ancient names of the weapons. Both times for test, this was its first appearance in active conflict. So they're saying they first used it in this Ukraine war, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Okay. With a reported range of more than 1,200 miles and a claimed top speed of Mach 10. That's fast. That's about as fast as a damn space shuttle. I think a space shuttle probably goes like Mach 20. Let me see. Yeah, I believe Mach 20 is like 15,000 miles per hour. So I think it goes faster than a space shuttle. But this missiles says it goes Mach 10. All right, so where we got Russia short-range ballistic missile. Russia claims that the Kenshall can travel, like it can perform evasive maneuvers at every leg of its journey. It's a weapon described by President Joe Biden as almost impossible to stop. All right. Now, these are pictures. They don't have a nuclear warhead on them. If this is a nuclear warhead, this would be turned to dust. It would be disintegrated. There would be and everything would be contaminated also. It also says here that the United States has conducted hypersonic missile tests. I'm sure the United States has hypersonic missiles. I'm not doubting that at all. It says 10 failures. So some succeeded. It says I think I highlighted something else too here. Yeah. It says in 2018 speech, Russian President Vladimir Putin unveiled 2 weapons he claimed would render American missile defenses useless. Well, if everybody has it, then all the defense is going to be useless. So we go back to mutually insured destruction. All right, so that's it on there. All right, we go to. This is definitely going to be a third world war. This is Matthew 24 and 5. It says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." All right. So we're going to have these different tribulations that we're going to have to survive through. We're not going to be raptured and then transported into the heavens. We're going to have to go through suffering. But the Lord's elect are going to be overall secure. All right. Says, is Revelation 9 and 12. One woe is past, and behold, there cometh 2 more woes thereafter. All right. The woe is World War One. Then we have World War II, and then World War III. All right. So the book of Revelation tells you that there's going to be a third world war. It says Revelation 16 and 15. "And behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." All right, the elect are going to keep their garments. It's impossible for them to be destroyed because they're chosen by the Most High. "And he gathered them together into a place called in a Hebrew tongue Armageddon." All right. So we look up Armageddon. I think I have it here. Yeah, right there. Yeah. It's going to take place in the Middle East, what we call the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, that area. That's the land barren and desolate. Armageddon, which means the hill or mountain or valley. We'll say that. Yeah, mountain or hill. I said of the crowds or of the troops, the crowds of people, the troops. That's where the people are going to be gathered to fight the third woe. All right. It says, "Hence in Revelation, a place of great slaughter, the scene of a terrible tribulation upon the wicked." All right. And it gives you reference to Medigo, which is not the actual place, Medigo, but for what happened there. All right. And it was battles that were fought there. All right, so it says, so that in the apocalypse, or the revealing, all right, which again, there's many revealings. The book is called the Revelation of Yahweh Shai, meaning that there's things that want to happen in the last days that the prophet John, the Revelator, that wrote the book of Revelation, it spoke about. He wrote about the world wars that were going to happen in the future, in the final war, which is the third woe. All right. So it says, so that the revealing, the revealing is referring to the war, the third woe. That's what the lesson's about, the third woe. Would signify the place where the kings opposing Mashiach, or the Lord, were to be destroyed with a slaughter like that which the Canaanites or Israelites had experienced of old. So it gives you that reference of 2 battles, or a few battles that were fought within that area. All right. And it says, and the point is that they were opposed. They're going to be fighting each other, the third world war. Then they're going to turn to fight the Lord. All right. It says, and so that in the apocalypse or Third World War, all right, apocalypse means to reveal. All right, and it's this we're specifically referring to the Third World War because there were many things that were revealed or are revealed in the Book of Revelation. But we're just revealing this specific thing. The third woe. It would signify the place where the kings of the earth, opposing the Lord, were to be destroyed with a slaughter like that which the Canaanites and Israelites had experienced of old. This is 2nd Ezra, 13 and 3. And this is the Lord's return. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, which are the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. So they were afraid when they saw these huge orbs of light that came closer, and they started to show more of their, their structure. Because right now, when we see them, we see orbs of light, balls of light. That's because they're hiding themselves. All right, but when in the future, very soon, when the kings, where the kings at? No. It says here, so that in the revealing, it would signify the place where the kings opposing the Lord were to be destroyed with the slaughter like this, that which the Canaanites and Israelites had experienced. But it's going to be worse than that. All right. But in these battles, if they all died, then that gives accurate reference, because everybody that comes up against the Lord is going to be put to death, as it says here, 2nd Ezra 13. They feared, and then the 4th verse, and whatsoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. So imagine the leaves burning, or how when the seasons are changing, the leaves crumble. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the 4 winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. And so this is the biggest, chariot of Israel, like Elisha saw. Said, Lord, chariots of Israel and the horsemen thereof. Those are the so-called UFOs that were declassified by the American government. They admit they exist now, and they claim to not know what they are. The aerial phenomena, I believe they call it. So Ezra is describing these celestial vehicles, let's call them that, or spaceships, as a great mountain. Behold, I would have seen, now if it was an actual mountain, behold, I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. So he says he saw this huge object, but couldn't tell which end and the other end. He couldn't tell. That's how large it was. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there's fight, because their hearts were hardened to fight, so the Lord can destroy them. That's what's written about in the book of Revelation. All right, that they were going to be slaughtered like that Canaanite battle and an Israelite battle. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war. So Ezra saw this huge object in the sky, and the Lord did not physically come out and fight. This is what happened. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. So this is how the Lord's going to fight. With blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. All right. So you can read the rest of that on your own. So the Third World War is going to happen, and they're amping up for this war. All right. It says Russia fires hypersonic missile in Ukraine. Moscow has deployed the Kinzhal missile for the first time since the start of its military operation. All right. It says it targeted a large underground depot of missiles and aerial munitions of the Ukrainian forces in the village of the Delatian. Sorry for my pronunciation. He added, says Kinzhal. Those munitions are said to be able to penetrate any existing air defense by traveling at a whopping speed of up to Mach 10 and constantly maneuvering during their flight. And it's referring to the hypersonic missiles. And a missile means the dagger. All right, dagger, or another name, a sword. All right. Let's see here. I believe it's 1550. Second Ezra is 15 and 1541. Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls and mountains and hills and trees of wood and grass of meadows and their corn. So it said in the 41st verse that everything is the whole land is going to be consumed, not going to be part of it. So it's going to be full of that destruction, the fire, the hail, flying swords, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and the walls, all right, and they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon and make her afraid. All right, and the star is Yahushua the Lord. All right, so great. This is referring to Great Babylon, not ancient Babylon. All right, so that's how the cities are going to be broken down and destroyed. It's going to be by the flying swords, hail, fire, and it's going to fill up everything. It's not going to be one spot that's going to be left open and untouched. All right. Mach 10 maneuvering. Okay. So Kanzal, which means the dagger or flying sword. All right, but the ones that are going to destroy Babylon are going to have nuclear warheads. All right. We ended here. Revelation 16. It says Revelation 16:17, and the seventh angel poured out his vial up into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. So this is the final destruction. It's going to completely break down Babylon. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before the power, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed the power because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. Yeah, and if you receive the plague, you're going to be erased to turn to dust. So that's the other people making a complaint. All right, but that's the end of the Third World War, or the third woe. So, and it's going to come by way of nuclear power, right, from various delivery systems. So, hope you were edified. Shalom to the next lesson.